So this week, just to condense things, what I did was I ended up making a thread so we can go through some of the more bulletin board material. So that way you guys got a glimpse of the information and the news that we have. Not saying that this is the, like for sure thing going to happen, but these are the things that are happening around the circles. So then you can take the information and do the best with it. So this is the information I found, a collection of UFL information. We got the depth chart for the game on Friday. We got some broadcasting news. They've upgraded their sideline staff, so things like that. Ken Wins is back. We also have some statistics from last week in terms of passing leaders, rushing leaders, and receiving leaders that I thought would be interesting for building lineups. Was there anything, I know we talked about it in the review show, and people can go back and watch that review show. Is there anything that you want to talk about now? There's one major topic, but I want to kind of introduce Donnie and Gov here, and then we can get into it. Anything you guys want to talk about off the top for sure?
Honestly, I've done a good amount of research. I'm getting ready I actually have my personal dummy lineup built, especially because we have some decent news running back wise. I think there's a must-play running back this week.
That's exactly where I was going. Gov, did you hear the news?
Yeah, Marable.
Yeah, Marable.
And Roundtree, both out.
Oh, Roundtree's out as well?
It's just Person.
Oh,
that opens up a pretty solid value too, because he's not like an 8-9K guy.
Yeah, now essentially they're probably going to bring up someone, and maybe we have access to that person, maybe we don't. But I think Persons at this point is a must play. He's also a receiving option. So
I will say, if they were gonna play another guy at running back, I'd honestly expect it to be Amari Rodgers. If they're gonna play someone, they do love him. He's a returner. He has some experience doing it. So I just if they were gonna do it, I don't expect it to happen though.
No, Amari Rodgers is inactive.
Doesn't say that on DK right now.
I have it in this thread at some point. I'll show it to you. He's inactive.
Okay.
But that's why I put everything into a thread so that we have it. Now, not saying all this information is correct either, but this is the information coming out, so this is what we can work with. And then, like Gov was saying last week, you guys should always do your own research and then update it. Like that is the thing that you have to do with these DFS lineups. Up until the moment they lock, you have to keep tweaking. Now you can over tweak, and you got to be careful of that as well. But you can do that. I just wanted to show the passing leaders just so we had a sense of maybe some chalky options and some things that people will be thinking about. It was obviously Jordan Ta'amu last week. Interesting. I thought Kellen Mond had a good passing game. Like as much as I think me and Donnie were talking about it in the review show, how much we actually liked the San Antonio Brahmas long-term potential. It just they got off to a horrible start. They held, I think, on every major third down. Their offensive line was by far the worst. Now, obviously, for an effective offense, you need an offensive line, so that could be a problem. We saw, by the way, DC upgraded their offensive line. They got a former Patriot. I'm not sure who that guy was, Donnie, but he apparently played in the XFL and was one of their standout draftees as well. Apparently, he came in week 2. We also got some defenders that signed late in the week as well. So this league does seem to be more defensive oriented than last year. So I will say that as well.
Well, this year is actually, as of week 1. Week 1 was the week of the overs for pretty much every player prop. And last year it was pretty much always the under that was hitting. So
now Nakua last week had the pick 6. He got the best defensive rating according to PFF last week. You can see that here. I got that pulled up. The comment above that was just Kellen Mond basically taking ownership and leadership of the offense, saying they should be better next week. So again, I expect Wade Phillips' team to bounce back pretty well. I'll show the receiving leaders as well. Adams, 93. Most of that came off a big, I think, 40-yard catch and run opportunity. So but I do expect him to be a heavy focal point. And like we said, Ken Witherspoon is back. So I do expect Memphis to kind of have more consistency and efficiency. I'm not sure Jacob Harris will be able to repeat. He is
6 targets last week.
Yeah, he's cheap enough, and I think people will go to it because he is a cheap value this week. To me, that's fool's gold. I really like what I saw out of Ty Scott, so I'll just say that that'll be a name I mentioned. And but I know you were paying attention. I think it was you, Donnie, was paying attention to the Michigan Panthers, and you wanted to play. The name's escaping me now, but I mentioned Sims.
It was last week. I considered playing Nakua because he was min-priced, or not quite min-priced, but he was only 4K. He got 2 targets, scored a touchdown. I don't think he'll repeat that. I think it was like 12 fantasy point game. I don't think he'll repeat that again, but he's a talented name. He's a well-known name being a Nakua. One of the 3 Nakuas that, 2 that have been playing well in the XFL, and obviously Puka's a monster in the NFL. So it's just,
and
it's a good family.
That was the. Sorry, I don't remember. I was trying to say something, but it'll come back to me.
He's too expensive this week, by the way. He's over 5K. I'm not paying that for Samson Nakua. Not without the guarantees.
That's what I was going to say. Perkins is starting in that Friday game. We know that because it's tomorrow's game. We do know Friday starters, and then they are going back to who's the quarterback that played really bad played wide receiver for the Packers. Everyone,
is it
Alex Magoo?
Alex Magoo, yeah.
Yeah, so they're starting Magoo again. Apparently, they're going to give him a run, and then Josh Perkins should get the number 1 starts. But here's Donnie, you were mentioning inactives for the Stallions and didn't see Amari Rodgers. Apparently,
this is not updated on DK.
So this came off their Twitter account, so I think it's probably relevant.
It's probably right. This one doesn't have on DK. They have him out. On here, they don't have Roundtree out. So Roundtree might be active, but I still don't care if he's active.
Right, because sometimes it's like golf where they'll carry the withdrawals or the outs from the last week, and Roundtree was inactive last week, so that might be why he's still listed as out.
Even if he goes back and plays, I mean, I know he's taken carries as the RB2 before in Birmingham. They like to have 2 running backs on, come around.
Mm-hmm.
Person's just so talented. I think his talent's going to overshadow.
He'll clearly be the number 1, even over Roundtree. Like, regardless.
And in an important game, this is a good game between a very good Birmingham team and a very good Michigan team.
Yeah. I actually think this will be one of the better games that we see. As much as everyone wanted a close competitive game last week, I think we're in. Like I just like the matches better this week.
I said it earlier this week. I think this is the best slate, like the best scheduled week of all the weeks in this league. I think Arlington and Houston should be a decent game. Houston probably going to lose that. St. Louis, San Antonio, that's going to be a good one. I expect the San Antonio to get back on track. Birmingham, Michigan, again, I love this game. And Memphis and DC seem very evenly matched, honestly.
And we've seen a dedication to the offensive line in this league. And that was what we were worried about in week 1 of last year. Like the first season, we were like the offensive line, it was a problem. And we're seeing more and more investment in early this year. So I like what I've seen so far. Gov, do you want to react to the news at all? Do you have an idea what you want to do with this lineup? Now we'll transition over to DraftKings and show you how we would use that information and kind of think about next week.
Do you want to clear this lineup out, by the way?
I forgot I have a...
I actually kind of like that little dummy lineup you have there too. Like it's okay.
I'm not mad at that either. Yeah.
I do think last week, I think we are going to have to make sure we start with the person question. And I'm perfectly fine playing. What about you guys?
I want to play person.
You do?
Yes.
I just think.
What about you, Logan?
Yeah, I want to play him because I think there's an information gap. I think there will be a large amount of people that don't play him.
Well, I mean, it's all. There might not be because you'll still get the normal game watchers. They're going to go on DK. It's going to say out and out, and he's going to be the only running back.
Now,
whether they're clicking on that game or not.
Yeah, you could be right if it was like the NFL, but I still think this being a niche sport and this not getting as much attention, it's going to keep the smarter people away. I know for a fact in DFS, if you're a high roller in DFS and you play a lot and you're into building a bankroll, some people look at the prize pools of a contest like this, even if the UFL is good, and they're like, "Oh, this is not worth my time."
No, in a hypothetical like just personal lineup. I am curious. If we find out definitively Roundtree does play, do you guys personally go back and have a Roundtree lineup that's probably 0% owned?
I think what I'll do is I'll have a personal one. So if we don't play Roundtree here, I'd play him in my personal.
That's what I was thinking of doing too if we find out he's playing.
And
because he should get 6 to 10 carries.
Maybe that's a mistake because we didn't even get a point from our running back last week and we got too cute. But sometimes I'm stubborn and like maybe that's where you don't follow me and you're like Logan's stubborn and that's just his folly and like I'm going to learn from his mistakes. But if I need to really be proven, I'm a volume guy. So if you're going to get the volume, I'm going to ride with you until the price reflects it. So I would take a few chances on Roundtree. But if you were only playing one lineup, I should say, if you're playing one lineup, I'm playing persons 100%.
Right. But I will play two if I find out Roundtree is going to be active and he just has an out tag on DK.
That's an interesting question, though, Gov. If you're only playing one lineup, or how would you attack the Roundtree versus persons debate?
Like I said, I know we need to start with it, but like if you're only playing one lineup, I probably just play it. Because, like, at that point, if he's super owned, like we saw with Sailors last week, but he gets all the volume and does it, then it won't matter. You can figure it out in the rest of your lineup.
And I think if you wanted to, like, play it safer, you'd play both of them in, like, a showdown lineup, to be fair. Which
do we want to draft the rest of this lineup? Or talk through it?
I think now that we have just, like, picked the first thing we can.
Yeah.
Okay. How do we want to decide it?
Well, we got a random number generator up?
I do. I always bring that up when I talk about this.
Logan, you go first.
Oh, give me number 0. Jameer Gibb just changed his number to 0.
I was gonna do that, honestly, Logan.
If people don't know, by the way, the OGs that I always pick a number that correlates to a player in some way. Like I'm always looking for a player relationship when I pick my numbers. Go ahead, Gov. By the way, Jameson Williams changed his number too, Gov, since you're so
99. Just to go as opposite of you as I possibly
can.
You could have just won a full 100.
I'm tired. I can't give you 100 right now. Sorry.
I'll go 48.
So you could have gone 50 right in the middle, but nah, you gotta give it 2 less, because fuck off.
It is 40, so it wouldn't have mattered.
Okay.
But I am going to start off this lineup.
I'm curious, since you're starting, Donnie, I just have to know, because this is actually an interesting question. Since you have the first, you can pick any position now. How would you start a lineup? Like, if you were to tell the people, like, this is the main, do you start with quarterback?
For the UFL, actually, I do start with quarterback.
Yeah, I usually do anyways. I was just curious how you went about it.
See, in the NFL, I don't. I'll go find my value first and then see what I can afford. With the UFL, it is 100% quarterback related first.
Fair.
So I think it's a very different strategy.
Yeah, it is. I just find those questions interesting. So sorry to derail. Go ahead.
But here, since I already have my dummy lineup and I know what I like, I will go receiver. I will not pick a quarterback in the first round because I know we technically didn't say that there was a rule against it in the UFL, but I'm playing like it is. I want to go back to somebody who people probably will think is overpriced for what he gave you, but he had a lot of targets, and I like the offense to make a comeback in what should be a high-scoring game. Give me Kirkland.
Yeah. Oh, so do we want to do that, by the way? No quarterbacks in the first round? I mean, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, first 3 picks, that's fine. But that means I'm picking the quarterback 4.
I like Kirkland. He got up to a slow start, but so did a lot of the number 1 receivers. Butler missed a touchdown, ended up with 0 points. Hall basically through the whole first quarter of the game with the Houston Roughnecks didn't have a single pass. Basically, I think the top 4 receivers outside of Adams all had 0 points in the first quarter. It was really bizarre. Kirkland did turn it around in that second half. It just looked like a timing issue. Like he was open, it just looked like a timing issue.
Yeah, all of San Antonio looked like a timing issue.
Butler literally looked like he might have still been hurt, though, to be fair.
Yeah, hamstrings. It will do it. Groins,
Yeah.
hamstrings. I don't like to touch it. Gov.
All right, or Logan.
Is it?
He's closer.
That's technically.
Zero is closer to 40
Yeah, I am.
than 99.
Okay. Yeah,
I'm
I do
thinking
think
I
the
know where
offense.
we can go with this lineup. I'm just not sure.
Yeah, I do think the offense will be better for Memphis. It does have me interested, but I think I will go with the wide receiver here.
What is
No,
the
I won't.
Memphis?
No, I
What is
won't.
the
No, I
Memphis
won't.
receiver room, by the way? Is what's his name back?
Yeah, no, Davis
Oh,
is not.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
off. He's off.
I'm gonna
draft.
plug it. I'm gonna plug in Adams.
All right,
All
Gov,
right.
next two.
I think I'm just going to make this a double stack. So, first things first, we're going to go with another San Antonio wide receiver.
Okay. Stevenson?
No, one of their cheaper guys. Like, looking at it,
Yeah.
I think we're going to go with Harris.
Interesting. So you will go with the tight end. He got a ton of work.
He did. Like, I like the fact that he got some work. And, like, other guys got work too, but him and Kirkland were the only ones who could even, like, come close to producing.
What I don't understand.
Stevie didn't even only got one target.
Mhm.
I just don't understand one thing about the Harris price. If you didn't want to bring him up, I'm fine with that. But with 6 targets and top 4 in the league in receiving right now, how is Harris' price not moving at 4,100? But Samson,
no one played him.
No one played him.
But Samson Nakua jumped up to 5-1
Yeah.
with 2 catches.
DraftKings realized
Name. Straight up name.
Yeah. DraftKings relies on
He just I'm hoping that Puka's like $2,000 cheaper when we start next season because Samson took
he might be. But by the way, Donnie, Jacob Harris was a Patriot, right? Am I wrong about that?
I don't think so.
I
He
know
might have been a random camp body once.
He did play a little bit of tight end in the NFL. I think it was either with the Patriots or Jags, but don't hold me to it. In fact, if you know, enter in that comments. You can call me an idiot. Go ahead, but give me the answer regardless.
Well, now since I've made it a double, we'll just play Kellen Mond.
I have a different quarterback, but I did play that double. So he was an Eagle for a cup of coffee, I guess.
Okay. I know he played in the league. Like he actually got a little bit of run.
Did he play with the Jags as well? Apparently. Yeah, I think that's the same guy. I think he played with the Jags. So he's been on a couple NFL rosters. So he's got talent.
I just want to mention, since Gov did shout out Kellen Mond, he did take like full ownership this week and basically said like offense will be better. So is that the reason you're playing him, Gov, or did it just work for you?
It just works. Like looking at the target ratio, like I like that game. Okay, give me a late hammer game.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Jacob Harris has a Super Bowl ring with the Rams.
See the Rams, that's what it was. I knew he played in
championship pedigree. Oh, I didn't even know that. Oh God. Oh.
It's like half them with the Miami Heat. Like at some point you're like, well, he was on the roster.
He was there.
Yeah, he stood up more as the coach and waved the towel, but he was there.
All right, Logan, it is your pick. I feel like there's only one way to close this out if you're going to play a receiver or anyone in the flex. Or you could pick the defense and I could play the receiver. Or I like there's one defense, and I know you like to keep that in your dummy lineup as well. I think we both liked it. It's the 3,600 Showboats. That's where I was going with it.
Yeah.
So that's who I want to play. If you want to put that in.
By the way, hold on really quick. Do you think that offense will be better with Ken Wins Hunt? Do they get better at all? Because I do think they get better. Like
maybe. I'd say we plug in that defense and call that my pick, and then we'll go off. You can play whoever you want, basically. I didn't want to feel like you were hindered.
You want the show, but I'm fine with that.
And then that gives us a lot of money.
Do we want to do something with the money?
I want a bring back for St. Louis. That's what I want.
So shall I just plug in Sailors? Because
see, I didn't realize we could afford Sailors for St. Louis. I was thinking we go to Butler and try to get off that money, but that's not a bad idea either.
Now, I'm a contrarian by nature, so I kind of want to go back to Butler. He was out there quite a bit. He missed a touchdown, and they just didn't have to throw. If they have to throw, I expect Butler to be involved in the game.
That's what I was thinking too, and that's why he's in my personal. But
and by the way, that's a hard name for me to say because it's very similar to my last name, so it's like default for me not to say that name. So if you hear me stutter, that's why. Like my brain is basically so used to correcting people on my last name that I'm not used to saying that name at all. His first did drop though. It is strange.
So Gov, how do you feel about it? Would you rather go Butler and move up somewhere else, or just say Sailors and take the high chalky guy most likely and deal with it?
We know Sailors will get work.
Sailors probably.
Okay.
Because I think our double makes us different.
Yeah. So how does Sailors fail us, assuming that we have the money for him and he's going to be high owned? Like, is he just a safe play in this lineup where it's like he can't really hurt us because if he fails,
at this point we have the money. If we like the rest of the lineup, he's raw points.
Exactly. That's what I was getting at. Like, even if he only goes out and gets 9 points, he's going to be so owned by so many people that I think if you don't play him, I don't know if this is the lineup.
If this is the week he gets 9 points, you really want to fade him if he's 50%. But like if he comes out and he's like at 18 and that's like top 3 on the week, like like you're not going to be hurt playing him in the right tournament. Yeah.
And even if he gets like 12 and he's that high owned, he's not going to kill you. And sometimes that's what you want, like you say with raw points. So, Gov, Donnie, you have any problems with this lineup?
I don't. Just looking at it right now, we have a lot of talent in here. The only thing I don't like in my personal, I went with the double stack on receivers for San Antonio, but I decided to pair Person with Magoo because he had almost 100 rush yards, and I think the offense will look better. But I know that's a huge risk.
Well, let me pull it up just so people can see. This is the leading rushers last week, just raw, rushing yards. So I don't expect the Battlehawks to have, 1 and 2 for the remainder of the year. I think that was an outlier. But also, Balaj for the Renegades also had like a 77-yard rushing touchdown. That was the longest in UFL history. And so if you take that 77 yards away, that 110 doesn't look as impressive. So I think
I will say he is playing Houston, and I do think he will be he's going to be ground and pound the whole game, and they're going to be up, and he will be in a good spot.
Mm-hmm.
So
I would also say, since we're not doing it in this line, I want to mention, I would consider playing some Alex Magoo because he played so bad, but he had such an NFL pedigree. He has like a wide receiver athleticism. He has like all the interesting things, and he had 84 yards rushing in a really bad game. If he can actually get some passing yards, and actually function as a quarterback and make that offense move, I think he could be one of the more dynamic quarterbacks in this league.
He was the MVP in 2023. That didn't just randomly happen. He's very talented.
Do you think Kellen Balaj, do you think that's a good player? Or do you because he had a 77-yard rushing touchdown? I think if you took that away, his numbers don't look as impressive.
I think it's a good play because he's playing the worst team in the league, the definitive worst team in the league.
Now, I just want to mention, because everyone's been talking about this beer snake. This thing is the thing that the commissioner, Danny Garcia, totally embraced it. She said, she doesn't want to shy away from fans. She just wants everyone to be responsible. So I found the statistic, and I just had to show it. It was too funny. They actually have the metrics of how many cups it took, how many people. But seriously is some of the stuff I enjoy about the league, the engagement, the interaction. I do think this
So
makes it to the league.
They do track it and count it every single week. The record right now, as it stands, is 1,248 beers. Is the record longest snake.
I don't even drink beer, and I think I would have, if I went to a game, I think I'd have to at least
You'd have to contribute.
Hey, I'd buy a lemonade and pretend it was a beer if I had to. If you really don't like beer, I'd have to add something to it. Even the coach got into it last.
Well, they have to have they're very specific about what cups are allowed too, Logan.
Yeah.
Like they're real specific. Even if you just bought a beer for someone and said you have to put it in the beer snake.
Actually, they embrace it, I guess, with the drinking responsibly, kind of like gambling's done with the gamble responsibly initiatives. They really monitored it closely, which they probably should at this point. You don't want to turn it into the waste management with golf.
If it's gonna be a gimmick, you have to keep it safe.
Yeah. So going back to the lineup, though, is there anything else you guys want to mention? I thought Pearson looked really good last week as well. I just don't know if it's going to be Butler or Japir again, but he got 6 targets. He looked like the number 1 receiver. I don't know what to think about the Battlehawks. They were obviously the best offense. I think me and Gov talked about that in the review show, but I don't know if they're going to have the dominance they had last week. But I think because they might be in a more competitive game, I think we'll see more versions of that offense. And that's actually why I wanted to play Sailors. But is there anything else you want to mention before we get out here? I know this was a bit of a quick show.
Yeah, but it's also a smaller lineup. It's a quicker league. It really is. Like, this is a good thing. But like, no, I don't have much else. Like, I like the lineup. I like the structure. I think I haven't checked ownership, but I think we should be good.
I have some NFL stuff to just passerby mention if we want to talk about it for a second. Because like the Chiefs requesting to be the perennial Christmas Day game, which there is going to be a Christmas Day triple header this year, but the Chiefs want to be like the Lions on Thanksgiving. They want Christmas Chiefs.
Okay.
I actually like the idea of it. They've been on every Christmas so far. Why not just make it a thing?
Well, you mentioned the Lions, but it's kind of like the Jacksonville Jaguars too. They've kind of embraced, like, we'll be the international team. You know, we got the ownership that wants an international.
That's because the owner owns an English soccer team. That's a little bit different.
I know
Kansas City doesn't own Christmas.
But you know what they do own? Patrick Mahomes.
No, they have the most popular. And guess what? They are red and white, like Santa Claus's suit, baby. It was meant to
be.
Now here's a guy.
And then they can get Taylor Swift.
They're red, and we'll play them on Christmas and make a lot of green. Oh, God, the NFL's going to do it.
You're right.
It's going to happen. Just force them to wear green cleats. I want Grinch cleats on everyone's player.
I was just going to say, all Kansas City players must wear Grinch cleats on Christmas.
Look, you can get Taylor Swift to sing Santa Baby. It all works. all dollar bills.
I think we're done here. We're done. Peace out. I can't take this right now. Oh, God.
I was actually going to ask you UFL question, but Donnie ruined it.
Have a good night, everyone.
Take care, guys.